Hey guys, it's Mr. Mini Painter, and today I'm painting Bofur from the Lord of the Rings miniature range by Games Workshop, and especially Thorin and Company. I'm doing a line of videos in which I paint all the dwarves, and Bofur is up next. So I primed the model in black, all black. And I added some basing sand, and to make it a bit more interesting, some rock in the back. You can do, of course, whatever you prefer to make it look more to your style. And first, we're going to be painting the skin with Bugman's Glow. It's kind of a traditional approach, using Bugman's Glow and then brightening it up from there. There are many other ways, but this is one I feel comfortable with, and usually you should do that. Just paint whatever feels good to you, right? As a second highlight, I'm using Cadian Flesh Tone. Leave that Bugman's Glow in the recesses, so that way the fingers are already separated. Paint the tip of the nose, cheekbones, all that stuff. And we're going to be brightening it up a little bit more by adding Kislev Flesh. Some pure Kislev Flesh, and if you want you can blend it with some water to combine those previous colors. Should take it step by step. Then Bofur has very, very, very tiny eyes, but we are going to be painting them with Palette Witch Flesh, a very thin line, a horizontal line. These Lord of the Rings miniatures are already so tiny, and the dwarves are even more smaller than the rest, so it's always a challenge. Some Abaddon Black for the pupils. If you make any mistakes, it's not a big deal, just go over it again with some Bugman's Glow or something like that. Then we're going for the hair, Rhinox Hide and Abaddon Black as a dark primer. Now we're going to be highlighting this mixture of Abaddon Black and Rhinox Hide with some Balor Brown. We're going to take it in a few steps. So first you do 3 equal parts and touch the highlighted, the raised areas, some curls, etc. And we keep adding Balor Brown to the mix to make it brighter and brighter, but don't go at it too fast, build it up. And now here you see beautiful details coming along. Then some XV88 for the sleeves and the main part of the coat. It's a large area. And this model doesn't have a lot of color, so we're going to be trying to make it a bit more interesting. Next, Thundia Brown for the hat, the top part of the hat. The bottom is gray, we're going to get to there later on. And when your hat is completely covered, we are going to continue on the pouch on his side, also Thundia Brown. Just the pouch, not the belt. And after that, we are continuing on his pants. Then some Steel Legion drab on the inner part of the robe. There is a tiny piece showing below it, just on the side of the previously painted coat, and also the pads on his hands. Next, the scarf, which is basically the only colorful item on this model, and we're using Dark Reaper as a base color. We're gonna brighten it up. You can do it as bright as you want. I may have taken it a bit too far, but I like the end result. So for my highlight, I'm using a lotr blue, which is very bright, maybe too bright, I'm not sure. I really liked how it turned out because it's quite a dull colored model, to be honest. After the scarf is done, we are taking Gilliman Flash on the coat. It's not really traditional to add a contrast paint over a previous color, but it gives a nice result and it shows the recessed areas quite nice, and I like the end result color. Next, some Tolkien sand for the sleeves. The sleeves are quite bright and Tolkien sand is going to be highlighting that. There are some folds in there, and the wristbands I'm going to use a different color, so just focus on the parts to where the elbows more or less end. I'm doing the same on the other side, of course. Take your time because it has to be quite detailed to make it interesting, right? Now once you're done, we're going to be shading those sleeves with a thin down Agrax Earth shade to blend those colors together a little bit and create some shade effects. Then some Tolkien sand on the parts below the coat. I previously forgot to paint them and they are more or less the same as the sleeves, so. Then the boots, Mournfang Brown, which is a nice bright orangey brown, and make it stand out a little bit more. Next up is some Karak stone for the furry part around his ankles, lower legs. You can maybe go for palette witch flesh if you want, but I wanted to have a little bit of a yellowy look, so that's why I went for this. For the hat, I'm using Ashen Grey for the furry part, which is a flap folded upwards and the bottom part of the hat. You can see some great details here. Take your time. And then we're going to be shading it with some Nuln Oil. And I went a little heavy on it with this, so I removed most of the oil off camera because I didn't want to go too heavy. Also do it with those gray parts. And some Agrax shade on the boots. Now for the details, Mournfang Brown mixed with some Ungor flesh on the knee pads. They are strangely shaped and they look quite interesting and make a nice detail to this model. Try and make as many lines as possible. It can be challenging, so if you think one or two is enough, stop there. If you maybe get some lines in between, way to go. Next, Baelor Brown. I used to create some vertical lines on his pants. It's a bit more yellowy and is a nice addition to the colors we used before. Make sure they're evenly spread. And then the wrists, some Abaddon Black to define the lines around his wrists, and in between I'm using some diagonal lines crossed from left to right to make a pattern. It's like a studded look, and I like how it turned out. Some Tolkien sand I'm using on the coat to create some tiny diagonal lines on each part you see here. It's a tiny detail, but it's so much more interesting to look at. I use dried bark on the stem of the pickaxe, the handle, make sure not to touch the hands here. And then for the part where it's tied together here, I'm using Gorthor brown to paint that and leave some black shining through. For the metal parts, lead belcher, which is the pickaxe and the buckle on his belt. Next up, Agric's Earthshade to blend the browns together. And some Nuln Oil on the metal parts. I'm adding some fine edge highlight on the pouch. There's a flap on top of it and give it a nice detail here. It's so satisfying when this kind of detailing works out. I'm also using Baneblade Brown on the top of the hands and Mornfang Brown to add some extra color to the top of the hat and the flaps. I'm using it as a highlight and I'm using it on the boots as well. Then Mechanicus Standard Grey for the belt. And I highlighted that with some gray cere. Add some lines to the top and bottom. And it really pops out. I'm blending the browns together with some Seraphim Sepia, so the pants and the knee pads. And the bottom part of his clothing. Next, some Stormhost Silver to create some sharpness to the pickaxe. And that's it for Bofur. Look at him here. A fine addition to Thorin's Company, Bofur the dwarf. I really like how he turned out, even though he's not really colorful. I think we added some nice details to it, and it looks great along the other dwarfs. If you like this video, please consider leaving a comment. I'd love to hear from you. And of course, give me a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Bye bye!